Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Legal Gym Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, I want to talk directly to those of you out there who do not take legal seriously because you don't think that you're ever going to get sued. The show notes for today's episode, which will include all the links and resources for everything that I'm going to be talking about today, can be found at hawthornelaw.net/22. That's the number 22. All right, now let's go ahead and dive in. Real quick, before we get started, did you know that I also run a monthly membership in addition to my trademark law firm? That's right. Every month, I host 2 coaching calls with my members to talk about business, legal hurdles they're dealing with, and mindset issues. It's something I don't promote very much or very often, but it's a passion project of mine that I absolutely love. And now through October 5th at midnight Eastern Standard Time, we are running our fall promotion. If you sign up for the next 3 months, you're going to get 1 month for free. So if you're struggling to gain traction in your online business and looking for some help and guidance to steer you in the right direction, this program might be just what you are looking for. Not only are you going to receive 2 coaching calls per month with me, but there are also a ton of other resources, tools, checklists, video tutorials, and even access to my Lock It Down legal toolkit that are available to you in our membership area. To learn more, just head on over to obfoundations.com/fall-promo. One more time, that's obfoundations.com/fall-promo. But hurry, this offer ends tomorrow night at midnight. If you're listening to this later in the future, you can still get access, but you're not going to be able to get access with this promotion. So head on over to obfoundations.com/fall-promo to get signed up today. All right, so I've been helping online entrepreneurs back since 2016, and most people think, and actually when I was first getting started, I also thought that they need to have their LLC to protect their personal assets from their business debts. And this is going to be the most important thing that you needed to get in place when you're just getting started as an online entrepreneur. And while, yes, it is true, an LLC is incredibly important and something you definitely should not neglect in your business, it's not the biggest danger you face as an online entrepreneur from a purely legal perspective. Your risk of getting sued is actually very small, especially when you're just getting started out, because you haven't sold to very many people, you don't have that many clients, you don't have that many customers, and the chances that somebody in that small little subset of people that you're working with is going to sue you it's just not a big concern that most people should be having. Your biggest risk, your biggest concern actually is that you don't actually own your brand when you're just getting started. So what do I mean by that? Well, I mean that anybody can pick any name that they want to do business under, provided they're not infringing on somebody else. And that's the big key indicator there, is provided you're not infringing on somebody else. So if somebody likes your name, they can use that name for their business. And I can already hear the objections. I hear you out there, you're saying, Jim, wait a minute, you just said that you can pick any name you want, provided you're not infringing on somebody else. So if somebody likes my name, how is it that they can use it for their business? Well, the reason they can use it for their business is chances are when you're just getting started, you have not yet filed for federal trademark protection. So if you have not filed for federal trademark protection, anyone can come in and take that name that you're using, often without you knowing it, and then use it for their own business. And in fact, they could even file for their own federal trademark protection and actually steal the name directly from under your feet without you even realizing what they're doing. Chances are, if they have filed their trademark application before you for the same name because they really like your name and you never filed for protection, there's really not that much you can do about it unless you have lots of money stashed up to pay lawyers. And when I mean lots of money stashed up, I mean most of you, I'm just making an assumption here, do not have $10, $20, even $100,000 stashed away for potentially getting involved in federal trademark litigation. Federal trademark litigation, it's funny, I just Googled, I had an idea in my mind of what I thought it might cost to get involved in a federal trademark lawsuit. I actually Googled how much does a federal trademark lawsuit cost, and the number that popped up right at the top of Google was $120,000 to $750,000. And I absolutely believe that that is correct, because when you get involved in the federal courts, things get really expensive. So when you consider the investment in filing a trademark application, which is usually just a couple $1,000s, the cost of having to protect yourself or getting involved in federal trademark law litigation compared to that, it would seem like a steal. At least for me, it would seem like a steal. But sometimes what can happen, which is actually worse than someone stealing your name, is when you are accidentally infringing on somebody else. This means that you are using a name for your business that somebody else has already trademarked, or that is deceptively similar to a name that somebody else has already trademarked. And the problem with that is it's very likely that at some point you're going to end up on the receiving end of what is called a trademark cease and desist letter. And I'm actually doing a blog post right now on the website where I'm going to be talking about this in great detail, what a cease and desist letter is, how it works. So make sure you go on over to hawthornelaw.net and check out the blog, because I'm doing an article on that. But the best case scenario, if you end up receiving a cease and desist letter from someone who is claiming that you are infringing on their brand, and in fact you are infringing on their brand, is that you're going to have to rebrand your business. And the cost to do that is typically $10,000, $20,000, maybe even more than that, depending on how much money you've invested in your brand for your business. So again, best case, you're going to be rebranding at a cost of $10,000 or $20,000. Worst case, they're actually going to put you out of business or even force you into bankruptcy. I've told this story before on the podcast, but I had a friend, he was using a specific type of trade dress for his Amazon business. He was selling water bottles, and a couple months after he started selling, he was actually doing very well. He was selling 6 figures a month in revenue on Amazon for these water bottles. He got a cease and desist letter from a large national corporation that sold water bottles that held the trademark for the trade dress for those water bottles, which means that the water bottles that he was selling mimicked what these water bottles looked like from this national corporation. And so he unknowingly was actually violating their trademark by doing that. The first problem with that for him is that he had etched his trademark name, which he actually had received the trademark for, into all of those bottles that he had received and that were in inventory with Amazon. It was about $40,000 worth of inventory that had his name on it. The second problem, probably the bigger problem that he was facing, was that his bottles mimicked the trade dress of this other national brand. So for that reason, this could be why his bottles were selling so well, is they actually mimicked this other trade dress. And now they're telling him he has to stop selling immediately. So he's got $40,000 tied up in inventory that he can't recover, basically put him out of business almost overnight. And so for a lot of people, that is something that could force you into bankruptcy. If you had spent that much money and maybe you took a loan out to pay for that inventory, and now you can't pay the loan back to the bank, that's a bad situation to be in. So that's where I say, worst case, you can be put out of business or even forced into bankruptcy if you have to rebrand your business, or if you're violating somebody's trade dress, and there's not a whole lot you can do if you're violating their trade dress. You can't change the product. So this is why I say, so there's 2 major problems with not registering your own trademark. The first problem is somebody can steal your name. The second problem is you could be using somebody's name or trade dress without even knowing it and accidentally infringing on somebody else, which could cause all sorts of problems for you down the road. So when people say that they need to get their LLC in place first because they want to make sure they're protecting their personal assets from lawsuits, again, while I don't dispute that that's something that's very important, it's actually not the most important thing. And you really need to think about protecting your brand first, and you do that by filing a federal trademark application. If you are interested in learning more about how to legally claim the rights to your brand, then you're going to want to schedule a free branding strategy call with me. That's right. For a limited time, I'm offering a free strategy call to talk with me about the branding for your online business and how to make sure it is legally protected. So if you'd like to learn more, head on over to hawthornelaw.net/TM-video. Once again, that's hawthornelaw.net/TM-video. On that landing page, we have lots of great information about the process of protecting your brand so that you don't have to worry about getting a cease and desist letter or being forced to rebrand your business at a great expense. Once again, that website is hawthornelaw.net/TM-video, and I look forward to talking with you soon. All right, all you Legal Gym listeners, now that you know more about why filing your trademark is so important, you are definitely ready to implement. Because if there's one thing we love to do over here at the Legal Gym, it's to take massive action. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the show notes page for today's episode. You can get a rundown of all the links and resources we talked about here today by visiting hawthornelaw.net/22. That's the number 22. And that's going to be the home base for all of your legal and business tools and resources to help you start, build, and of course, legally protect your online business. Thank you so much for listening today. I look forward to catching you on the next episode where we're going to be talking about the various trademark symbols that you can use in regards to your trademark registration, how to use them properly, and how to make sure that you don't violate any federal rules or get into trouble with the USPTO by using those symbols improperly. So you don't want to miss that. I will see you in the next episode.